Hello, hope y'all are all doing very well. It's February 21st. Today I'm back. So today I'm going to be talking about a pretty significant blizzard that we're going to be looking at over the next couple of days in the northern plains and the upper Midwest. And then I'm going to be talking about pretty much the severe weather side of that storm system, as well as another upcoming potential severe weather event as we go to this look towards this weekend. Uh, so hope y'all are all doing very good. It's Tuesday, and yeah, let's go and get started. So this is our current National Weather Service hazard map. I guess we're looking at watches and warnings, pretty much like what we're looking at, like watches, warnings, winter weather advisories, and stuff issued by the National Weather Service. So we can see in the west, very messy in the west, blizzard warnings for portions of Wyoming, a lot of winter storm warnings across many areas of Arizona, New Mexico, all the way up through, all of Wyoming practically, other than that one county right there. And then also a good portion of California, Oregon, and Washington there as well. Winter storm warnings, and we even has some freeze watches. And winter weather advisories in these lighter purple shades you can see in those areas over here, and then even into the northeast. Uh, So yeah, also in those yellow colors that we see right here, that is high wind warnings that we are looking at. I think it's high wind warning. It's kind of hard to tell the difference with how the colors are in pivotal weather, but yeah, that's high wind warnings there, as well as a good portion in New Mexico with those, and even areas of Texas. Then in the southeast, really the only thing that we have going on, or in generally like the South Ohio Valley, we're looking at a lot of wind advisories, really from Louisiana all the way up into Indiana and even Southwest Ohio. We see those wind advisories. We even have ice storm warnings from in a couple counties in Iowa, southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, and southern Michigan there for that potential ice storm. Uh, Current temperatures right now, looking at the west, it is fairly warm in some areas, but then generally just below average though. You can see it's pretty cold in some areas. Seattle 43, in the 40s in Portland. Uh, a good portion of central and eastern Montana, east of the mountains, especially as you get into the flatter areas, it's very cold, and it pretty much stretches all the way down to Wyoming. Uh, Pretty cold as well. The southeastern part of Wyoming is all the way to the mid 40s. Colorado is kind of split. Of course, the western side of Colorado is a little warmer, but then the southeastern side of Colorado is just warm. 70s. Uh, Arizona and New Mexico, kind of what you'd expect, although definitely a little colder than average, I'd say. We do have really no 80s in any of these states. In some areas, in the hottest areas of California, I'm pretty sure it's Death Valley right there, 80s. But that is really not that above average. And we do have some 70s, but that's not bad. It's not bad. Same for the southern tip of Nevada there. Now I want to go ahead and switch over to the central portion of the country. So we're looking at very cold air up here, helping to bring for some pretty significant or some pretty interesting snowfall ratios to help bring a lot of accumulation with this upcoming winter storm, or well, it's kind of ongoing at this point. But then as you go further south, it quickly warms up. Most of Kansas is currently in the 60s, with some 50s in some isolated areas, especially across northeastern and northwestern Kansas. Oklahoma is pretty warm as well, even 80s. Even temperatures getting near 90 west of Dallas apparently, and 86 degrees in a lot of areas, and then to air temperatures around at 90 degrees pretty much in southern Texas. Those 80s go all the way over into areas of Arkansas, northern Louisiana, and even almost into Mississippi. But then as you get into the east, we have a little bit cooler air in place in some areas. We can see, even Florida's not that warm, just 80s. So it is a little above average, I think, but it's not not really record-setting yet. And of course, there's a little cold pocket across northern Georgia and over into Alabama. But yeah, so the northern portions of the U.S., like the Great Lakes, and portions of the Midwest over into the Northeast, are pretty cold actually. About average or slightly above average in some places, even below average maybe up into northern Maine. definitely much better. I mean, like Cleveland's 32, Pittsburgh's 44, Binghamton's 35. I'm pretty sure Binghamton has a severe thunderstorm warning, or there was severe thunderstorm warnings near that area. So that's pretty weird. I mean, earlier today temperatures were a little warmer across the southeast here, but a lot of areas, especially where we've had this band of like showers across Georgia and stuff, we've seen cooler temperatures throughout today. So talking about the winter storm side of things now. So we had our first blast of snow in Minnesota and Wisconsin today. We go and take a look at radar scope real quick and see if we're still seeing a whole lot of activity in that area. Seems like we're seeing stuff in Wisconsin though. Yeah, so we definitely have snow falling across a good portion of Wisconsin here, all the way down in the Illinois, northern Illinois. Yeah, we likely have snow falling. So that's pretty interesting. And there's snow falling in most of these areas. Lighter snow though as you get over into the Dakotas, but nevertheless it's still snow falling and accumulating to these really cold temperatures. Now throughout tonight we're gonna see this still kind of like a short break, maybe in the Minneapolis area. We're gonna see snow continuing though. It'll just be lighter and stuff. So not looking at like extremely high snowfall rates, but that snow will be blowing. We take a look at wind gusts at this time, and I mean, yeah, we're gusting into the 30s, even some 40s, or around 40 in some areas. So definitely pretty gusty. But then we see this precip by tomorrow morning. These storms kind of initiate in Illinois, Indiana, along the warm front, and then this move into the colder air. We just see breakout of freezing rain across northern Illinois, like a little beginning in northern Indiana, but then lifting off into Michigan. I mean, we're gonna be seeing a pretty significant ice storm in some areas potentially. We take a look at like total freezing rain totals. Definitely, I mean, all the way over into Iowa, we see that. I mean, about a quarter inch of ice. I'm a little surprised that they actually put ice storm warnings there, because I mean, I didn't know their criteria was so low in Iowa, but I don't know. And then as you go over into Michigan and stuff, we see a quarter inch of ice, half inch of ice, maybe even up to three-quarters of an inch of ice. So definitely, I mean, even if you're getting a tenth of an inch of ice, even if you're over here in this area here, I mean, if you do actually, I mean, even if you get just a little glaze of ice, like 5/10 or not 5/10 of an inch, it's a lot of ice, 0.05 inches of ice, let's just say that, shorter. That is, I mean, that's still an issue. I mean, it's still hard to walk on, it's still cotton. I mean, you still need to be careful, especially while driving and stuff. So, I mean, any ice is bad. But yeah, so you can see a pretty widespread icing event. Of course, the main area that we're going to want to watch is that area of like southern Michigan, even into central Michigan. So back to the snowfall side of things. So we see more like really the breakout of snow occur by tomorrow, right after the sunrise. We see a ton of snow just going into southern Minnesota, into central Wisconsin as well. And then the system just explodes in this area of precip, just dumping stuff over Minneapolis, central Wisconsin, northern Michigan. And then, I mean, that stays there all afternoon on Wednesday in many of these areas. And then we see even another push of snow in the Minneapolis, of heavier snow in the Minneapolis early Thursday morning. So total snowfall accumulations as of right now, like how much we're looking at additionally. Why is that so low? What? Oh, it's 10-to-1 ratio. Yeah, as we take a look at the difference between 10-to-1 and Kuchera is like insane because of these cold temperatures. We have just some very significant snow ratios. There's very high snow ratios. But yeah, so here we go. So this is total snowfall from this. I mean, I would take a couple of inches off. We'd already seen a couple of inches of snow because this is an older run. This is from a couple hours ago, actually like 4 hours ago. So take a couple of inches off if you've already seen snow and stuff. But I mean, still, we're gonna be looking at maybe up to 2 feet in some areas of Minnesota, eastern South Dakota. Still a foot to a foot and a half for most of South Dakota. Northern and central Wisconsin, northern Michigan, maybe still getting in like a foot of snow. Definitely more than 8 inches in a lot of areas. In the west, look at the higher elevation snow in the west. Western Colorado, I mean all the way down into Arizona, New Mexico, even down into Mexico. We're seeing that. So very interesting storm system, and also kind of regarding the fact that we're seeing just record warmth for like in this area here. It's not looking as warm as it once was though in the southeast, which is good. But I mean it's still going to be fairly warm with temperatures in the 70s, even maybe getting up into the 80s across. I think kind of the 80s might be limited to a little more of this corridor here if the HRRR actually like kind of verifies a little bit. Or not that corridor, no, further south than that. I don't know why I just circled that area, completely ignoring Florida, but really I think they'll be kind of further south than that on Thursday. We'll have to see. I definitely think some areas could have a shot at hitting 80 still. It kind of just depends, because right now I think we're looking at cloud cover across many of these areas at this point. So I think that could be the issue. But yeah, we definitely have cloud cover here because I mean there's really no other explanation for that or random. Yeah, we have rain apparently, so yeah, that'd be why it's a little cooler. But yeah, over to the severe weather side of things now. So we have a slight risk on this is tomorrow. We have a slight risk from areas of southern Oklahoma all the way up into areas of Illinois. So pretty interesting for this time of year, I'd say. We got a 2% tornado risk, 15% wind, and a 5% hail. So main threats wind, and tornadoes and stuff are kind of tornadoes and hail are kind of on the backside there. So with what we're looking at tomorrow, this is our dew points tomorrow at 7 a.m. We're looking at a low right about here, not too clear, but definitely 988 millibars. So clear cold front right here, kind of near that area at least. Probably about right here actually. We probably have ongoing convection right there, just cold pulling the storms, or just creating a cold pull. Let's see. Yeah, we kind of have that. So that's removing some of that moisture. The cold front's actually about right here, and of course in front of that already tomorrow morning we're gonna be looking at storms. Let's see if we can actually get some decent soundings for once. Let's see. Okay. Not looking too promising there, but I mean the damaging wind threat would exist with these soundings, but like tornado wise, I just don't see the potential with that. So I mean unless the environment is significantly better than what the HRRR is showing, the tornado threat would be of course very low tomorrow morning. 15Z a couple hours later. We're still looking at that extreme capping in front of these storms. They get like a mixed layer CIN. We don't even have that much capping, so I don't understand what every sound. Okay, so every sounding gets either contaminated or it's taken where you have a lot of capping. Okay, that kind of seems like what's happening here. But yeah, I mean, I do see that like the sheer everything is kind of like we could see a brief tornado and something, but it definitely this event's kind of weird. I mean, but yeah, so and then maybe kind of later in the afternoon we can see a little bit more storm like action further south, down in Texas where the environment's still quite interesting to say the least. But we could maybe be looking at something in that area as well. But yeah, so I mean, HRRR pretty much just indicates a squall line type event for many of those areas. Once again, I do think we'd see a tornado threat exist. I definitely think the tornado threat's lower with this one. I don't see really a big event tornado-wise, or I don't see a big event as a whole, but a lot of times these big wind events can kind of just go under the radar. So I definitely think we're gonna see. I mean, we have a decent environment for damaging winds tomorrow for sure. But the tornado threat, I definitely think will be low, but it's still there though. So I mean, just be kind of paying attention to that tomorrow, even tomorrow morning, and yeah. So now I want to talk about in a couple of days here. So we go out to day 6 and this is Sunday. We have a 15% risk from northern Kansas down into Texas, like northern Texas. So we're gonna switch models here and talk about this real quick. So this is 6 days out. This is pretty far out. So just keep that in mind. That pretty much what we're talking about now. We'll see shifts and stuff. We'll see changes. So the GFS, as we can see, we have a low near the kind of the Oklahoma, Texas panhandles down there, and we see. I mean, that just quickly moved northeast with, I guess, just very. I mean, yeah, it looks pretty good actually. I'm not gonna lie. But not. But I don't know what I'm saying. Take a look at dew points real quick. I mean, yeah, that looks pretty good. We see dews in the 60s and stuff. It'd be interesting to see if we actually see an event in the plains. I mean, that seems too good to be true. We've had very little actual good events in like this area recently, but we'll see if it'll shift or not. But yeah, so 500 millibar winds. This looks good. Yeah, I mean, you just see. I mean, this definitely looks like a big damaging wind threat, and I mean, we definitely have a tornado threat as well with this. For sure, kind of curious what I can get for a sounding. It's gonna be hard to get a sounding those because GFS indicates so much convection. But we'll see. So with this sounding, yeah, it's not that great. But let's go over to the GEFS actually, because I mean, a lot of these events are kind of different than what like the operational model actually has. So these are dew points off the GEFS. We can see it's not bad actually. This is kind of interesting. We got dews in the 60s up into Oklahoma, 50s all the way up into this area here. Now, because this is so far out, I mean, this is like pretty much ensembles. So some of the I forgot what it's called, but some of the ensembles will likely have a very similar situation to what the actual GFS has, but this is kind of a better thing this far out to look at. Oh yes, I mean, we see that. I mean, that's not bad. Severe weather. We can just take a look at like surface-based Cape. As you can see, I mean, it does indicate a little bit of instability. So I mean, that's kind of why we do have that area outlined. Is we have a decent looking event for severe weather, pretty much. I mean, just to put it into simple terms, there are 500 millibar winds off this, and yeah, I mean, that just very clearly see that area. And if we go out to the entire U.S., as a matter of fact, then yeah, I mean, that just sticks out very clearly. So that's why we have that area outlined. So I mean, right now, that definitely looks like a damaging wind, and even maybe a potential it doesn't look bad for tornadoes right now. But I'm just interested to see if we'll see this shift or not, because we tend to see these shift away from the Central Plains recently. The European, we'll take a look at the European real quick. European is actually very similar for once, okay, but the 0-0-Z Euro, let's see. Also had this in that area. It actually shifted a little further south, so with the latest run. So yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that again on Thursday. But yeah, so thank you for watching the video. I should be back, I mean, either tomorrow or Thursday. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope y'all enjoy the video. And yeah.